This video started as an experiment. I had no idea what I was making when I set up the camera to record this. I saw this method of making fabric out of tiny scraps with other sewing creators and I wanted to try it out. But what was I going to make out of the newly created fabric? No idea. The method is pretty simple. Put some interfacing sticky side up on your ironing board. Grab your scraps and start laying them down, either randomly or maybe create a shape. Don't forget the very tiny pieces. They stick as well, although it is a little bit of a hassle. Then use your iron to stick them in place. It's actually a very meditative task. No rules, no design, just putting the pieces down. When I was getting somewhere, I took a picture and wrote to my mom and sister, "Is it just me or does this look like art?" "Could be both," my sister replied. "Call yourself an artist and start exposing." Maybe I should make a wall hanging, I thought, but as I progressed, I got less excited about that idea. So this is the final fabric. It falls apart pretty easily. Although it's not really fabric, it's just scraps glued to interfacing. So let's turn this into actual fabric and make something. I'm using scraps of quilt batting and some thrifted organza on top, and quilt this all together and make a nice fabric out of this. By now I had decided this was going to be the revised version of my scrap bag, as you already saw in the title of this video. Scrap bag, you may wonder. So this is the first scrap bag. I made this in my first YouTube video ever. I'll put a link somewhere so you can watch it if you want. This is cut up scraps. I made them really tiny with my rotary cutter. And I quilted them between two layers of organza. So no interfacing, no quilt batting, just organza, scraps, organza. And I love this bag. It looks so cool, and it's a lot of archaeology because it is all my project from that time, from like almost 6 months ago. But it's very bulky and the scraps are falling down at some places. The stitching is very uneven and wobbly. So yeah, actually ever since I made this, I realized I wanted to make a revised version of it. There are many methods to make fabric out of scraps. This was the first one. I'm now working on the second one, and let's make a scrap bag part 2. I'm not making the exact same bag as the first scrap bag. I'm using this shopping bag as a template. I started drawing out the measurements, but if you look closely you'll see me make a dozen mistakes on this piece of paper. I quickly found out the correct measurements though. I'm not going exactly into the details of how I make this. Essentially it's just a few rectangles sewn together. For the bottom, I'm using a piece of a handbag I got from a thrift store. You may remember this silver stuff from the video in which I made quilted slippers, where this handbag serves as the sole. I wear these slippers all the time, by the way. Okay, so I think there are approximately 2 weeks between the final shot you just saw and this one, in which I'm going to show you the finished bag. Yes, I only recorded the making of the outside. I didn't record the making of the inside for various reasons, but I can assure you there are plenty of tutorials online if you want to know how to make this. Also with the little zipper pouch for your keys so they don't get lost. I'll link some great tutorials below in the description, but this video is mainly about creating fabric out of scraps. And I think I succeeded pretty well. The main difference with the first scrap bag is that this one is much less bulky and so much less heavy. But it's maybe more sturdy because of the interfacing than the first one. Yeah, I like the size. I'm really glad I took the old shopping bag as a reference because this is a perfect size. I used the handles from the same thrift bag I used for the bottom. And I'm overall just very pleased. It looks a lot more chic and neat because of this method. The stitching is much less wobbly than it was with the first bag. So that makes it look a lot nicer. In my opinion. And there's one mistake I made, which I only saw at the very last moment, was that I'm missing a little piece of organza here in the corner. There's nothing to be done about that anymore. I added some fray check in order for it to not fray, and I'm just going to accept it as a little flaw because nobody's perfect, I guess. I made the lining out of a scrap of the quilting cotton I used for my first quilt, and a piece of pants fabric I made some really pretty pants out of a while ago. Yeah, oh, and what I did for the edge, I did a little stitching in the ditch. I folded the top under and stitched in the ditch on the inside, so you'll have a little stitching line over here. It keeps the lining inside, which I think makes it look very neat and professional. And on the outside, it's almost straight, so that's a win. I'm definitely going to try some other methods that come close to this, like using tiny pieces of fabric to make new fabric. If you want to stay updated on that, you can subscribe to my channel and follow along. You can also follow me on Instagram, where I also document these projects. You will see them in real time actually, because I just post whenever I'm sewing, which for the past month hasn't been a lot because I was very busy and there was this Hogwarts Legacy game that I'm absolutely in love with, so I had other things on my mind. So I hope to be back with you in 2 weeks with another video. That's probably going to be another sit down and talking video, and then the video after that is going to be another project video. But I don't have a project yet, so if you have any ideas, then let me know. If you're going to make a bag like this or anything else from this type of fabric, do share, because I still have some left. And yeah, what should I make out of this? Maybe a little pouch to use with this bag. Yeah, a toiletry bag. If I use some water-resistant fabric on the inside, could be really nice. So many options. But if you are going to do this as well, tag me, share it with me, let me know in the comments, because I really enjoy it when people do this, and it's very, everybody makes their own thing out of it, and it's very inspirational for everyone. So please do let me know. That was it. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, all that jazz, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.